Welcome to this week's episode of Cut Therapy Behind the Chair. I am your host, Justin Ortiz. Um, this week we are talking about, and I wish I had better words for this, but I'm gonna just lay it on the table. This week we're talking about fixing your shit. Okay, I'm so sorry that I don't have the vernacular, or my vernacular doesn't have the verbiage, the technical expression, um, to better elaborate this. But yeah, we're talking about fixing your shit. Okay. um, I believe healing as a young man should be top priority in every young man's life. Um, 18, fresh out of high school, most of us are coming from a public school system. And as it was for me, I'm sure that everybody has a lot to unlearn and a lot to unpack from years. Was it over 12 years? Um, Maybe even more of public schooling. I think I did 15 counting Head Start, which is preschool. Um, Anyways, I think preschool through because I know what K through 12 is K and then first. So what is it, 13? And then Head Start's like 14. I did like 14, 15 years of school. I had a lot to unlearn, a lot to unpack. Okay, public school in Orlando, Florida is kind of funny. Um, but along with public school, we we have home issues and self issues and friendly issues and friendly conflicts and so much stuff that is normally built up, and we don't ever really heal from a lot of the experiences that we have growing up. And so I feel like in your early teens, and by teens I mean late teens actually, excuse me, in your late teens and in your early 20s, I think it should be top priority to seek some healing, um, fixing your shit, okay? um, Me and my brother were having a phenomenal conversation the other day, and he was telling me about this crazy journey that he's on right now of just like healing, dude. And this is what kind of sparked this entire conversation today because he was just telling me about so many of the things that he has been able to overcome in recent times and so many of the obstacles that he has faced in recent times and certain things that are still stuck with him from the past. And the only word that kept popping up in my head was fix your shit. Excuse me, the only words. It was three words. Fix your shit, fix your shit, fix your shit. Um, it just kept popping up and I kept saying it. And I was like, bro, like, why am I saying this? Um, and yeah, like, I was just very adamant about that. But he was he was just on this tangent, bro. It was probably like 2 hours of him talking about this like new self discovery and this new like just path of healing that he was on. And God was just like filling me with ideas to bring to you guys. And so I hope you guys really enjoy this today. But I think I think the reason why healing should be top priority as a young man, um, is so that you can form into the best version of yourself, your 10.0, or the image of yourself that you have in your head. Most of us have an image of who we want to be, how we want to be it, and most of us actually know what we need to do to achieve that. Um, we're just scared of that other person. 9 times out of 10, we're avoiding what we have to do to become who we have to be. Um, and so today I speak over your guys' lives that you guys stop running away from, including myself, stop running away from the obstacles that will lead you to become the person that you know you are called to be. Um, Again, oftentimes we're just scared of that next version of ourselves because we know we have to push away certain people. We know we have to push past certain comforts. We know we have to put certain childish things away. We know we have to outgrow our old self. And this is a hard process. This is a very chiseling process. In my personal life for the past few years, I've been asking God to chisel me. Um, Not sure if you guys know what chiseling is, but It's when you have a metal, like almost like a flathead screwdriver and a hammer, and you're knocking stone. They would do this to create like a lot of the old Roman carvings or things that you see with like the stone people back in the day. Like that was part of the process where they would chisel at these marble or rock things. And oftentimes that's what we are. We're a rock. We're so padded in and compressed that we can't even flow into the state of being that we're called to be in. Um, and so I believe that healing allows us to become the best version of ourselves, that 10.0 version, that version that you see yourself as every night before you fall asleep, the version that you wake up trying to claim every day. Yeah, elaborating on that 10.0 version of yourself, once you are that 10.0 version of yourself, you can fully focus on your purpose, that calling over your life. And there's a difference between purpose, your work, and your job. A lot of times, people in this money, this rat race that we're in, we oftentimes get lost in the sauce. Okay, we oftentimes get lost in our job and the way that we make our money. Um, Money's a tool to be managed. It's not a tool to be obsessed over. The love of money is evil. Um, Majority of this world loves money. It's okay to care about it. You, especially as a man, you have to kind of manage finances. You're called to be a provider. So provide. Don't be obsessive. People who are chasing money, people who are chasing the ideology that money fixes everything. Um, I I pray the best over you. Um, do some self research is all I can really say on that aspect, um, and try to find things that are deeper, man. Go deeper. Um, but yeah, don't get lost in your job and focus on your work. Your work is something that you're actually a slave to. Um, in Genesis, God curses man and He curses women, um, and men we're slave to our work. We're slaves to our work. We're slaves to the land. Um, God has a calling over your life, and if you don't abide by this calling, you will always feel unfulfilled, and it's because you are a slave to that calling. Um, your basic calling, men, is to be a provider, to 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 bring protection, to bring to be the voice of God within your family, speaking on God's behalf, to be more clear amongst your peers, and amongst other men as well. Men, we should be like clashing, like not clashing, but like men should very well be like every time we have a conversation, it should be a very impactful conversation because it's two people speaking on the behalf of God, and God gives different people different downloads. And so something that God can be giving me, something completely different than He can be giving you. And this can be a very interesting conversation between two people because it's God using two separate vessels to communicate. It's very interesting how He does this. Um, Anyways, your work is what you be, your job is what you do. Um, I think people should start asking like people more like, what is your being? Like what you be instead of what you do. Oftentimes we ask people, what do you do? What do you do? What do you do? And oftentimes what someone does isn't what they are. Um, There's not what they be. And so this is so hard to explain. I hope you guys are getting this, but like, um, healing allows you to focus on purpose, which allows you to focus on your work. Your work is your purpose. Your work is your calling on this earth. Um, and don't get that confused with your job. Your job is just how you make finances, and it's honestly what you should be using to redeem the time because the days are evil. Um, your finances is what you should be doing to buy your time back. A lot of what society calls successful people, um, they often say that. They often say you have to buy your time back, and there's some wisdom in that. There's some wisdom in that for sure. The days are wicked, and the days time will have you slaving away at things that you aren't called to be a slave to, And so once you're able to redeem your time and be able to focus on, again, yourself, um, so that you can be selfless, there has to be a season of selfishness. Selfishness isn't necessarily the word I like to use for it. Um, there just has to be a season where like you are just kind of a bit selfish. Um, and it's not selfish though, because the end goal for your life should be to provide excellence back into the world and to be able to pick up where other people left off. And so it's gonna seem like a season of selfishness, but all it is you becoming exactly what you're called to be, because your calling will affect millions of people, and God will use you once you're sitting in His design over your life to be everything you need to be for others, to be completely selfless. Um, yeah. um, in this journey of healing, oftentimes we build these things called walls, um, and they're normally based off of fear, traumas, and avoidance. Um, and these are things that God doesn't want over your life. I do think that sometimes for a season you're just doing something to get by. And I think that it's completely human. I think that it is completely human. And I think that it's okay in the season for you to be human. But once you realize that you set these walls out of fear, once God has given you that revelation, it's time to tear these walls down. There's a difference between walls and boundaries. It's all over social media now. Have boundaries, stand by your boundaries. And yes, you should have boundaries. Boundaries are laws or godly code that your life revolves around. Um, these are things that are non-negotiables. You have boundaries set for 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 you to be able to be everything you need to be, for you to be. You feel me? And that is completely okay. But when you have walls up that are restricting you or restricting others' access to certain parts of you out of fear, out of doubt, out of anxiety, out of avoidance, out of trauma, these things are completely unhealthy. Completely unhealthy. And it'll make you feel good. It'll make you feel really good, but not everything you feel is truth. Um, and not everything that you feel is also right. And so it'll feel really good, because you'll probably be striving through life and not having certain things ever get into your level of like your level of avoidance. Um, it's it's here for a season, but once you acknowledge it, it has to go. These walls have to come down so that you can continue to strive and become that 10.0 version of yourself. For every wall you have built, um, it's there's something within that wall that is stopping you from being everything that you're called to be. Um, please become, y'all. Become, be who you be. Um, um, in this season of who you're becoming, um, you'll probably run across these things on social media where they talk about affirmation, speaking things into existence, um, manifestation, um, and these are these are tools, um, but you gotta be wise and discerning, whether or not God wants you using these tactics. I'm not gonna get too deep into a lot of this, but manifestation is not prayer. Um, um, the tongue does speak life and death, um, but faith fuels the tongue. It, it's very complex. It's very complex. But in the season of healing that you are in, or that you're going into, that you're coming out of, there's a specific word that that is oftentimes used when people are affirming things over their life. And I think self affirmation is healthy. I think speaking good things over you is healthy. Um, I think analyzing what your tongue says before you say it is a very wise thing. I don't think that you can speak something and it just become though. And what I mean by that is like I can say, oh, I have $1 million right now, and I don't have $1 million right now. You feel me? And so, um, faith builds habits, and habits build construction. Once you start constructing, um, as you're speaking, you're constructing because you're believing. This belief system now is allowing you to become, and so over time you will, um, and that's you feel me? It's hard to explain, but it's a bigger process than that. Um, in this season, as you're healing or coming out of healing or whatever it is, I pray healing over your life. Um, I will say the best thing that you can speak over yourself is you are. What I mean by you are is saying I am X, I am B, I am Y, I am. You know what I'm saying? Um, Whatever variable that is. I am in Hebrew means I will be, or it will come to pass. And so, I think when you're affirming or when you're speaking things over yourself, it's wise to do word studies, because oftentimes when you're saying something, you don't actually know what you're saying, and words have power. And so sometimes when you're speaking over yourself, you don't know what you're speaking over yourself, and these things can have a positive or negative outcome depending on what you're speaking over yourself. Study the words that you are speaking over yourself and see what they're rooted in. See where their history lies within those words. Um, Words have power, intent has power as well. And I do think that words alone have power, but when it's backed by proper intent because you have knowledge behind the word, I do think does become a bit more powerful, because now that word combined with your intent is now fueling something that you are becoming. And so, when God says, I believe it's in Exodus, um, he's talking to Moses and he says, "Tell them I am." Tell them I am. And then Jesus also says, like, I am who I am. When people are asking him about him, I don't know if that's in Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John, um, or if it's in another gospel. But um, when he's saying I am, he's having a self declaration. He's saying I am, and I will be, and I will come to pass. Um, it will be done. Is essentially what he's saying. Like when he says I am who I am, he's saying I am, and I will always be. Period. Like he is him of him. He is him of thee. You feel what I'm saying? He is him of thee. Hey, hold on. He is him of thee. Hold on. It's cool. It's cool. It's gonna pass over y'all heads. It's cool. Um. Anyway, it's a self declaration, and it's also like once you gain the background of it, it becomes almost metaphysical. Um, I am is the metaphysical name of the spiritual self, and you saying you are something is proclaiming that over your spiritual being, is proclaiming that over the 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 self you are behind this flesh. um, yeah, man. And one who is governed. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Excuse me. I'm so sorry. It's the metaphysical name of the spiritual self. Slash one who is governed by spirit. Um, governing one who is governed by spirit. Don't take this out of context, because there are many spirits. Um, there are many spirits. Don't be misled. Don't be governed by spirits that you have no business being governed by. Um, get in alignment with God and Christ, and and be governed by His Spirit. And once you're governed by His Spirit, you have unlocked something that I call Christ consciousness, um, where you have an attachment to His Holy Spirit. I was speaking on this in the first episode of Behind the Chair. You have access to His Holy Spirit. You have access to infinite wisdom, infinite knowledge, the source of God's being. Once you accept Christ, you now have unlocked Christ consciousness. You are able to speak to the Spirit, and you allow the Spirit to govern your life. Um, get in alignment with that. I think that's the end of the healing process. The end of the healing process is allowing Christ to completely construct your life. That's it for the episode, man. I hope you guys got something out of this. I appreciate you guys. These have been pretty hard for me. Can't lie to you. Um, Especially like keeping up with it. Like right now, it's like 12 or 1 a.m. in the morning. Um, I drive an hour to and from work, and so if you're actually listening to these and you're actually keeping up with these, I appreciate you um, a lot. I appreciate you a lot more than you guys know. Like, comment, follow, subscribe, whatever it is that YouTubers say at the end of the YouTube. Um, and yeah, let's get active, man. I'm sorry I don't have a lot of energy. It's like I said, it's like 12, 1 a.m. in the morning. My mom's sleeping. I don't feel like yelling. I'm so sorry. um, but yeah, I appreciate you guys. I'm out.